Hey man, say man, it's your boy DAA man, Daylight TV, back at y'all with another one. And on this trip, we're gonna recap week 3 of America's first Frico conspiracy trial against Sean Diddy Combs, aka Puff Daddy, aka the John Gotti of Baby Oil, or as I've been calling him, Baby Oil Diddy, Baby Oil Diddy. Yeah, I just like doing that. But first, hey man, hit that like and subscribe button, smash that notification bell if you're really mobbing with the content. Daylight TV, let's get it. So on Tuesday, May 27, 2025, in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, the jury heard a full day of testimony from Capricorn Clark, a former employee of Diddy's. Capricorn Clark testified about being forced by Combs to accompany him to Kid Cudi's house in December of 2011, an incident that is part of the government's racketeering case against Combs. She recounted that Diddy was angry about Cassie's relationship with Cudi and had a gun with him at the time. Clark also testified that she witnessed Diddy beat and kick Cassie after she arrived at his home following the incident at Kid Cudi's house. So I guess after Diddy left Cudi's crib, Cassie shows up and, at Diddy's house once he's already back, and it just go bad. You know what I mean? Clark described her relationship with Cassie, noting that it had changed over time and that Cassie's drug use had affected her career opportunities. So I guess on top of whatever, Diddy was doing or not doing for her career, like kind of keep her under control, drugs had control over her ass too. Clark continued her testimony saying that she had difficulty finding work in the music industry after being fired by Combs in 2012, claiming that she was blackballed. She also indicated that she felt intimidated by Diddy and feared for her safety, leading her to go along with his demands and later seek his forgiveness. Combs' defense attorney challenged Clark's testimony, attempting to cast doubt about her recollection of events and suggesting that she accompanied Diddy willingly to Kid Cudi's house. On Wednesday, May 28, 2025, during the Sean Diddy Combs sex trafficking trial, several key events unfolded. Damn. Why all these freaky ass key events gotta unfold on my birthday? But anyway, not about me. It's about Mr. Frico over here. Deonte Nash, a celebrity stylist and friend of Cassie's, testified about witnessing Combs' violent behavior towards her, including physical abuse, threat to her career, and threat to release a sexually explicit video. Nash described the incident where Combs physically assaulted Cassie so severely that she required stitches after hitting her head on the bed frame. I'm wondering if it's that big ass bed that everybody be talking about that said Diddy house. That's crazy. But he even recounted the instance where Combs was aggressive towards him, including hitting him, grabbing him, and even throwing him into a parked car. Talk about take that. And it's wild because when you think about Diddy, anytime you hear something about him grabbing somebody, male or female, you really gotta wonder what the context of the grab was. Weird ass. But Nash also testified about Diddy controlling behavior, including a time that Diddy went to his crib looking for Cassie, and how he was controlling her career and all the other aspects of her life. You know what I mean? Stalker shit. 2 emergency officials testified about the investigation into a break-in at Kid Cudi's home and the subsequent firebombing of his Porsche event that witnesses claim was linked to Diddy's anger about Cudi dating Cassie. LAPD officer Chris Ignacio testimony at the Diddy trial focused on his response to a reported break-in at Kid Cudi's home in December of 2011. Ignacio testified that he responded to a call about the potential break-in at the Hollywood home and observed a suspicious vehicle described as a black Cadillac Escalade leaving the scene when he arrived, which he thought was suspicious. Of course, Ignacio memorized the Escalade license plate and later discovered that it was registered to Bad Boy Productions Incorporated, one of Diddy's companies. Duh. And so he entered the home, he said, and observed some Christmas presents that had been unwrapped. And he filed a trespassing report. So because there were no items like reported missing and there was no sign of forced entry or reports of a firearm or evidence of a firearm present or a kidnapping, right? So kind of makes me wonder, right? If Diddy went through the gifts, like he picked certain gifts, like the cop is saying that, Cudi said that, I'm wondering if the gifts, like, I was thinking was labeled to Cassie. And I wonder, like, when he went through and saw what Cudi might have gave her, you know what I mean? Or even maybe, like, they both had presents. Maybe she had some of her presents for Cudi under that tree, too. So when he goes through the joint that they got for each other, maybe it gives him an idea how serious or into each other they might be. And it made him, like, super jealous. And he just went, like, crazy. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. But what if one of them handkerchiefs or whatever was from that? It's all kind of shit though. Diddy crazy as hell. On cross-examination, Ignacio confirmed that his report did not mention a firearm or any information about a kidnapping, despite other witnesses that alleged these details. So basically, his testimony, though, does place a vehicle registered to Diddy's company, Bad Boy, at the scene of an alleged break-in. So that's damaging. And it corroborates the earlier testimony from Kid Cudi and Capricorn Clark. So, yeah, his testimony really helps establish a timeline of events related to the whole break-in and provide context, to the prosecution's case as far as that goes. Now, while Ignacio's testimony corroborates the presence of Cohn's vehicle, his statement that no firearm or kidnapping was reported contradict claims made by the other witnesses, which the jury may look at and, might decide to either say that maybe that information wasn't known at the time, or because like Ignacio wasn't there, like when Diddy was actually there. So unless he shot the gun in the house, there's no proof that there was a gun there. You know what I mean? But the jury, that just gives them something more to think about and just raises more doubt, reasonable doubt. Now, Lance Jimmerez, who is an arsons investigator with the Los Angeles Fire Department, testified that he investigated the fire that damaged Kid Cudi's Porsche in January of 2012. He concluded that a Molotov cocktail / makeshift bomb caused the fire. Jimmerez stated that in his opinion, the fire was targeted. He described finding a 40-ounce bottle of Old English malt liquor with a designer handkerchief used as a wick, because that's what they were saying. He said that the fingerprints were taken at Kid Cudi's home after the break-in the previous month. But he said that the fingerprint cards were later destroyed by someone within the Los Angeles Police Department, which he found was unusual. You know what I mean? So I guess since he's investigating the arson and he finds the 40-ounce bottle with the handkerchief in it, like I guess still intact, they would have dusted that for prints and then tried to cross-reference it with the fingerprints in the house, you know what I mean, like that were found in the crib. But somebody, you know, got rid of the fingerprint card before thing, which is kind of crazy, bro, because don't they like digitize them shits like once they take them? Jimmerez also said that he was unable to reach Cassie, Diddy, or Diddy's former assistant Capricorn Clark during his investigation. Diddy's defense team moved for a mistrial, arguing that the prosecutors improperly implied that Diddy was involved in destroying evidence related to the Kid Cudi arson investigation. The judge, however, denied the motion, stating that there was no prejudicial testimony. Now, other notable event that happened within, you know, this week or around that time was that Cassie, who previously testified as a key witness in the trial, gave birth to the child that she was carrying while she was on the stand. You know what I mean? Which is interesting. I'm wondering if that baby messed around and was born on my birthday. You know, lucky kid if you got the birthday. Maybe not so lucky kid with the parents he got.
Okay, not exactly on my birthday, but close enough. Cassie's third child, a son, was born on May 27, 2025. The baby was born in a New York City hospital, and both mother and baby are reported to be doing well. This is her third child with husband Alex Fine after 2 daughters.
Prosecutors stated that they were ahead of schedule and might shorten the witness list. Combs' defense team raised concerns about the lack of time they had to discuss the case with their client due to restrictions at the Metropolitan Detention Center. Now, that's interesting that they're shortening, they're saying that they might shorten the witness list because, like I just pointed out, with certain testimonies are kind of contradicting. You know what I mean? So maybe before they kind of further damage whatever narrative they're trying to push, they don't want to risk putting anybody else on the stand that may, you know, further throw things off. I don't know. It's just one way to see it. On Thursday, May 29th, in the Sean Diddy Combs trial, the court heard testimony from a former assistant of Diddy's, identified as Mia. Mia testified that Combs sexually assaulted her multiple times throughout her employment and alleged that the first instance occurred at the Plaza Hotel in New York during Diddy's 40th birthday celebration. She testified about being given 2 shots of alcohol that had a strong effect on her and how she ended up being sexually assaulted after. Mia also described an alleged essay, including one at Combs' Los Angeles home where she was sleeping and another where she was packing clothes in his closet. I guess, you know, doing what assistants do, packing his gear and, you know, probably a walk-in closet because that dude probably ain't got no regular closet. Mia explained that she didn't report the assault due to fear of retaliation from Diddy and the belief that he was too powerful to be held accountable. Mia also testified about witnessing Diddy physically abuse Cassie and, you know, the reports in the courtroom kind of mentioned or they describe her testimony as emotional and that she frequently paused to compose herself while recounting, you know, the alleged assaults. The defense did not have an opportunity to cross-examine Mia that day, and they would have to wait until the next day, you know what I mean, May 30th, to discredit her testimony. And so on Friday, May 30th, 2025, during the Sean Diddy Combs trial, the former assistant Mia continued her testimony. And she faced rigorous cross-examination by Combs' defense team, who challenged her claims, basically scrutinizing her past social media posts where she had expressed admiration and positive feelings toward Diddy. The defense questioned how she could reconcile those positive sentiments with her accusations of such like severe abuse, right? So Mia goes on to explain that social media posts often present a idealized version of reality, and that she was expected to portray a positive image while working for Diddy and shit. But the fact that she stayed working for Dog is just crazy. Like, you know what I mean? I understand people got to earn a living and all of that shit. Like, bro, if your boss essays you, and this goes out to any ladies out there, I don't give a shit, bro. Like, it's somebody that cares, even if it's not in your family. Like, somebody will just definitely leave that job. Like, nothing good gonna come out of that. You know, she also testified about the difficult and complex dynamics within abusive relationships, highlighting the cycle of violence and her attempt to survive within that environment. Again, I wish you would have just left, shorty. Like, if all of that happened to you, you know what I mean? That's crazy. But Mia continued to testify that after leaving Diddy's employment, she received a $400,000 settlement, part of which went to her legal fees. She emphasized that she never disclosed the sexual assault allegations during the settlement negotiations, intending to take them to her grave. Now, that's kind of strange because normally, if you throw the essay in there, um, you get more money. And you know, like clearly, like you joining in on the witch hunt or whatever, and then you want to remain anonymous and all of this. So, I mean, yeah, like that's kind of strange. But she also discussed the impact of Diddy's alleged threats, including one instance where he threatened to take away a an opportunity related to an unreleased ABC series loosely based on her experience as an assistant. Well, shit, if you were gonna really tell what her experience was like, I'm pretty sure he ain't wanted that shit to come out. So he probably would have stopped that regardless. The defense aimed to undermine Mia's credibility by highlighting perceived inconsistency between her testimony and past actions, such as her social media posts and her decision to remain silent about the alleged assaults during the settlement negotiations. They also sought to portray her as a disgruntled former employee who may have fabricated or exaggerated her claims. The defense even attempted to introduce a video of Mia singing Happy Birthday to Diddy, aiming to demonstrate a stark contrast between her demeanor on the video and her testimony about what happened that day in court. However, the judge ultimately precluded the video from being admitted as evidence, deeming its relevance minimal and citing the defense's late submission. Mia is expected to actually continue her testimony on Monday, May 2nd.
Man, I'm gonna think I'm on Back to the Future or something. Talk about May 2nd. Man, June 2nd. But it's all good. Please fuck up.
So that's pretty much how testimony for week 3 of the Diddy trial, went. As I was looking more into the case, I found some connections that I thought were worth mentioning. So I knew that Meredith Foster was one of the prosecutors on the Diddy case, and that prior to that, She was a member of the prosecution team that got the conviction on the Maxwell chick who was tied in with the whole Epstein scandal, right? Well, come to find out, Maureen Ryan Comey, the daughter of former FBI Director James Comey, is part of the prosecution team in the case against Sean Diddy Combs as well. Now, remember when words started floating around about Trump was going to pardon Diddy if he was convicted?
They're wasting a lot of money if they're going to continue with that nonsense.
And this one's a little bit more of a page 6 question, but back when you hosted The Apprentice, you mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, he sort of, that relationship busted up from what I read. I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden. You know, it's different. You become a much different person when you run for politics and you do what's right. I could do other things, and I'm sure he'd like me, and I'm sure other people would like me, but it wouldn't be as good for our country. As we said, our country's doing really well because of what we're doing. So I can't, it's not a popularity contest. So I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact on me.
Mr. President.
Isn't it ironic that James Comey, as FBI director, investigated the potential link between Trump's associates and Russian officials, including allegations of Russian interference in the 2016 U.S. election and possible collusion with Trump's campaign? Additionally, Comey had investigated Trump's request to end the FBI's investigation into Michael Flynn, the former national security advisor who later became part of Mueller's report. The Mueller report was the official report that was documenting the findings and conclusions of special counsel Robert Mueller in the investigation into the whole Russian interference, you know what I mean, that was just mentioned. Now, this would be a big career win for Maureen Comey, you know what I mean, if she gets the Diddy conviction, right? So what if Trump was on some petty shit like, you tried to take the election from me, or, you know, the presidency after I won? How about after your daughter gets her, you know, trophy conviction, I just come through and take that. Now, speaking of Trump and pardoning Diddy and everything like that, 50 Cent recently went viral when he publicly stated an intention to contact Donald Trump and dissuade him from pardoning Diddy, right? Now, 50 highlighted Combs' past negative statements about Trump as a reason why Trump might be disinclined to grant a pardon. 50 posted on Instagram, Diddy, said some really bad things about Trump. It's not okay. I'm going to reach out so that he knows how I feel about this guy. 50 also posted an AI-generated photo of him at the Knicks game in a t-shirt that said Free Diddy, after news of people being paid $20 to wear a Free Diddy shirt, you know, went viral as well. Now, 50 is crazy, bro. So originally, I didn't know whether or not it was a real picture or AI. So when I looked it up and I found out that it was, in fact, AI generated, and that 50 was actually the one that like put it out there, I'm just like, bro, he even beating the troll to the punch about trolling him. Like, he's just getting all the clicks, you know what I'm saying, man? Like, But yeah, man, that's pretty much it for this recap of America's first ever Frico conspiracy, man. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. And if you're still here, I really appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that like button. It really helps us, get into the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell if you really mob with the content. And as always, stay dangerous so you can be safe, especially if that nigga Diddy is behind you, man. It's your boy DAALIGHT TV. I'm out.